Defected MiG-31 fires hijacked Kinzhal, crippling Russia's $1.1 billion air defense network. At the moment, Russian air defense systems registered a MiG-31K braking formation over the Black Sea. The event had already crossed the point of reversal. It was a tightly sequenced, multi-domain operation that unfolded across air combat, electronic warfare, and missile strikes in under an hour. By the end of the chain, Russia had lost a frontline Su-35 fighter, a K-47 M2 Kinzhal hypersonic missile, and the core radar and command element of an S-400 Triumph air defense battery. Ukrainian officials and open-source analysts later assessed the total loss at approximately $1.1 billion, measured in destroyed aircraft, expended precision weapons, and neutralized strategic air defense infrastructure. More damaging than the financial cost was the exposure of vulnerabilities inside systems Moscow has long presented as untouchable. To understand how this unfolded, the sequence must be traced carefully from the beginning, over open water, where everything initially appeared normal. The story starts with what looked like just another patrol. Today, at 2:14 AM, a Russian MiG-31K Foxhound was flying a routine patrol pattern over the Black Sea. The aircraft was operating at roughly 40,000 feet, maintaining a steady cruise profile consistent with deterrence and readiness missions. From the perspective of Russian radar controllers, there was nothing unusual. The MiG-31K, a specialized variant of the Foxhound interceptor, is not designed for close-in dogfighting. It is a launch platform. Its mission is to climb high, accelerate rapidly, and deliver the K-47 MM2 Kinzhal hypersonic missile. With two powerful engines and a reinforced airframe, speed and altitude, rather than maneuverability. At the controls was Captain Alexei Volkov. Mounted beneath the fuselage was a single Kinzhal missile, weighing approximately 4.3 tons and designed to reach speeds above Mach 10 during its terminal phase. Carrying the missile imposes severe penalties. Aerodynamic drag increases sharply, fuel consumption rises dramatically, and maneuverability is restricted. Flying the MiG-31K in this configuration is mechanically demanding and physically exhausting. For Volkov, however, this patrol marked the final execution window of a decision that carried a single outcome: success or immediate death. At 2:19 AM, without transmitting a single word over the radio, Volkov pushed the control column forward. The Foxhound pitched down aggressively, converting altitude into speed as it descended towards the sea. Russian controllers initially assumed a technical issue, or pilot disorientation. That assumption ended when the aircraft leveled out at very low altitude for a brief segment, and its transponder went dark. At that moment, Russian air defense networks across Crimea registered a fast-moving, low-altitude track heading west. The implications were immediate. A MiG-31K carrying a Kinzhal missile was leaving controlled airspace without authorization. The Russian command did not attempt negotiation. At 2:22 AM, 4 Su-35S flanker fighters were scrambled from a Crimean airbase. The Su-35S is a modern multi-role fighter equipped with the N-035 Urbis-E radar, thrust vectoring engines, and R-77 active radar-guided missiles with engagement ranges exceeding 60 miles. Unlike Volkov's heavily burdened interceptor, the Su-35S were flying clean, optimized for speed and maneuverability. Volkov understood the imbalance immediately. With the Kinzhal acting as a massive aerodynamic brake, outrunning the Su-35S was not an option. Instead, he relied on terrain masking and radar physics. For a short window, he dropped low over the sea to reduce detection by ground-based radar, using sea clutter and the curvature of the Earth to his advantage. The margin for error was narrow. Any climb would expose him. Any descent risked impact with the water. This was not a sustained low-altitude flight, but a calculated maneuver to break radar continuity. By 2:31 a.m., the Su-35S began closing the distance. Their radars swept the surface, filtering returns in search of a consistent metallic track. Inside the MiG-31 cockpit, warning tones intensified. At 2:33 a.m., the lead Su-35 achieved a firm radar lock. Moments later, 2 R-77 missiles were launched. Once their active seekers engaged, the missiles no longer required continuous guidance and began hunting the target autonomously. Volkov had seconds to react. High G evasive turns were impossible with the missile still attached. Instead, he executed a high-risk deceleration maneuver. Throttles were pulled back sharply, and air brakes deployed. The MiG-31 shed speed abruptly. The sudden velocity change disrupted the tracking solution of the incoming missiles. At very low altitude, the aircraft's radar return briefly blended with surface clutter. One missile lost its solution entirely. The second detonated prematurely as its proximity fuse triggered in the disturbed radar environment. Both failed to achieve a kill. The maneuver worked, but it came at a cost. Volkov was now slow, low, and exposed. The remaining Su-35S closed aggressively, shifting from long-range missile tactics toward visual-range engagement. At this point, Volkov employed his final defensive option. Despite its role as a missile carrier, the MiG-31K still carried R-37M long-range air-to-air missiles. These weapons are designed to destroy high-value targets and carry large fragmentation warheads. At 2:36 a.m., Volkov executed a brief climb to gain better launch geometry, deliberately exposing his aircraft to radar detection for seconds. The lead Su-35 pilot interpreted the maneuver as desperation and committed to the intercept. Volkov launched a single R-37M. At close head-on geometry, reaction time was minimal. The missile detonated in proximity to the Su-35, filling the air with high-velocity fragments. The fighter was catastrophically damaged and fell into the Black Sea. The loss of the aircraft alone represented approximately $85 million. The remaining Su-35S immediately altered tactics, spreading out to encircle the MiG-31. Fuel warnings filled Volkov's displays. He had little margin left. What the Russian pilots did not yet realize was that Volkov had crossed into a prepared operational zone. At 2:41 a.m., Ukrainian forces activated a pre-planned electronic deception corridor. The system had been staged in advance. 12 AQ-400 Scythe drones were already airborne, timed to intersect the engagement zone within seconds. Each drone was fitted with Lüneburg lenses that amplified radar signatures. Additional platforms carried electronic warfare payloads, broadcasting noise across Russian targeting frequencies. To Russian sensors, the airspace abruptly filled with high-signature contacts. Radar tracks are multiplied and overlapped. Target discrimination became unreliable. One Russian pilot took a quick shot at what appeared to be a high-confidence track. The missiles destroyed a decoy drone worth roughly $15,000. While the Su-35S struggled to regain situational awareness and reassess the engagement, Volkov pushed his engines beyond standard limits and flew directly into the drone formation. To enemy sensors, his aircraft merged into the clutter, becoming just one more return among many. At 3:02 a.m., Volkov approached a forward operating base in southern Ukraine. The runway was short and not designed for a heavy interceptor carrying a hypersonic missile. The landing was harsh, the brakes overheated, tires screamed, and the aircraft stopped with only meters to spare. For a brief moment, the mission appeared complete. At 3:03 a.m., air raid sirens activated. Russian reconnaissance assets had detected the landing. Coordinates were transmitted to an Iskander missile battery. Launch authorization followed quickly. Time to impact was estimated at approximately 7 minutes. Ukrainian ground crews immediately initiated a minimal emergency hot refuel while the engines remained running. This was not a full turnaround, but a rapid top-up intended to provide just enough fuel for immediate departure. At the same time, a Ukrainian signals officer, Lieutenant Dmitro, boarded the aircraft. He identified a geofencing restriction within the Kinzhal missile's guidance system that would prevent launch against Russian targets. Using pre-staged equipment and a pre-configured hardware override supplied through Allied intelligence channels, he bypassed the restriction. As Iskander missiles entered terminal descent, Volkov advanced the throttles and began his takeoff roll. Explosions struck the far end of the airfield. The MiG-31 accelerated through smoke and debris and lifted off just as additional impacts tore into the runway behind it. Moments later, a Russian S-400 Triumph air defense battery acquired the climbing aircraft. A 48 N6 interceptor missile was launched, accelerating toward the MiG-31 at hypersonic speed. Volkov climbed steeply to gain launch altitude. At 3:10 a.m., the Kinzhal missile separated and ignited, turning back toward the border. Seconds later, the Kinzhal struck the radar and command element of the S-400 site. The impact destroyed the primary Big Bird radar vehicle and nearby command equipment, rendering the battery combat ineffective. With its guidance source eliminated, the interceptor missile lost tracking and self-destructed. Russia lost a Su-35 fighter, a Kinzhal missile, and the core operational component of an S-400 air defense system. Ukrainian officials and open-source analysts assessed the combined loss at approximately $1.1 billion. Ukraine gained a MiG-31K, valuable technical intelligence, and confirmation that even Russia's most protected systems are vulnerable. Today, the question remains unresolved. When advanced weapons depend on trust, control, and human loyalty, the most expensive systems can fail faster than the cheapest human decision. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more updates.